And time now for business with Yuka Roya. And Yuka, you're going to start with that story that we were just looking at, and of course that cyber attack on that massive pipeline that runs across the east of the US. And you're also looking at other cyber attacks that are occurring.
That's right. Well, on this case, the US government has declared a regional emergency and has temporarily eased regulations on transporting oil on motorways following the most serious cyber attack targeting US infrastructure to date. Now, Texas-based Colonial Pipeline ships refined fuel from the Gulf Coast to some 50 million consumers on the US East Coast through nearly 9,000 kilometers of pipeline. Now, it's not yet clear whether the ransomware has made its way into Colonial's operations network or if the shutdown was a precautionary measure. This is just the latest, as you said, in a growing number of cyber attacks targeting businesses and government agencies. France last month warned that their volumes had increased fourfold since the start of the pandemic. Camille Nedelec takes a look.
Hackers increasingly have critical infrastructure, like the Colonial Pipeline Company, in their sights. The pipeline supplies much of the US East Coast.
Infrastructure communities do historically lag other industries in terms of their spending on cybersecurity. The US is not lagging other parts of the world, but we're getting hit a lot more, and we're a more digital society, so we have more availability for those threats. However, the first thing that people want to do is blame the infrastructure companies. Why aren't you spending more? Why aren't you doing more? In reality, they're listening to the standards and regulations and best practices and frameworks out there.
The pipeline shutdown is just the latest attack as Western nations struggle to tackle the growing problem of cybercrime. An Interpol report last year warned that hacker groups are increasingly targeting large corporations to ask for bigger ransoms. A new record was set in 2020 with a demand for over 40 million euros. A report by Cybersecurity Ventures predicts that cyber attacks will cost the world almost 5 trillion euros this year. If it were a country, its economy would be second only to the US and China. In January, Microsoft released fixes for an attack on its Microsoft Exchange server, which it blames on a highly skilled and sophisticated Chinese group called Hafnium. Late last year, it was revealed that a far-reaching attack on IT company SolarWinds had impacted companies including Deloitte and Microsoft, as well as a number of US government departments, including the Pentagon, impacting almost 20,000 organizations worldwide.
Well, the shutdown has caused crude prices to rise and more heavily impacted gasoline and other refined products on the commodities market. Another key commodity, a metal, iron ore, jumped 10% on expectations of rising demand as global economies reopen. Now, on the stock market, it's a mixed picture in Europe at midday. London's FTSE up about 0.2%, partly on a stronger pound. Paris and Frankfurt both dropping slightly below the flat line after opening the week on a positive note. German firm BioNTech is expected to announce its financial results for the first quarter of this year later this afternoon. Founded just 13 years ago, the startup has become a household name as the company behind the messenger RNA technologies used in a COVID-19 vaccine made in partnership with Pfizer. Camille Nedelec has more on the rise of this company.
From a relative unknown to now on its way to becoming a global vaccine powerhouse. BioNTech was founded in 2008 by a husband and wife team of scientists. In partnership with Pfizer, the firm created the first coronavirus vaccine in the world to get regulatory approval, and the first jab ever to use messenger RNA. It's still the only vaccine approved for use in Japan, and the EU announced a second order of almost 2 billion doses on Saturday as it decided not to renew its contract with rival manufacturer AstraZeneca.
We must not let our guard down, and we must prepare for the future.
More than 90 countries use the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and the firm wants to ramp up production to 3 billion doses by the end of 2021. The biotech company is to start building a new site in Singapore this year, which is set to open by 2023.
With this planned mRNA production facility, we will increase our overall network capacity and expand our ability to manufacture and deliver our mRNA vaccines and therapies to people around the world.
The Pfizer-BioNTech jab that catapulted the company onto the world stage is being sold on a for-profit basis, in contrast to some of its competitors. This amid repeated warnings from the World Health Organization that the vaccine is not reaching the world's poorest.
Some more of the business headlines for you at this hour on Monday. France's economy is expected to return to pre-pandemic levels by the first half of next year, according to Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire. He told France Info Radio on Monday that he expects a 5% GDP growth target to be achieved this year as the country's vaccine rollout picks up pace. The minister ruled out a second economic stimulus on top of France's current €100 billion recovery package. Israel and South Korea are set to sign a free trade agreement under which 95% of goods will be exchanged customs-free. A special budget for co-financing a research and development fund will also be allocated. It will mark Israel's first FTA with an East Asian country. Bilateral trade between the two reached almost $5.5 billion in 2020. And military rulers in Myanmar have approved a new investment plan worth almost €2.3 billion. The 15 projects include a new liquefied natural gas power plant. 100 days since a brutal coup ended democratic rule, much of Myanmar's economy remains paralysed by protests and strikes. International credit rating agency Fitch forecasts its economy to contract by 20% this year. And finally from me, SpaceX says it will launch a mission to the moon next year, funded in Dogecoin. The mission will be called Doge1, named after the cryptocurrency born out of an internet meme, and which was initially meant as a joke. The announcement came after Dogecoin lost a third of its value following a comment by SpaceX's founder, Elon Musk, who called it a hustle on television. Musk has come under fire of criticism for his online posts about digital currencies in recent months. His tweets have helped Dogecoin skyrocket in recent months in value to become the world's fourth biggest cryptocurrency. It was meant as a joke, but now it has a real value.
That's the new world of cryptocurrencies, indeed. Thanks for that, Yuka Roy. And that's it for this edition. Do stay with us. There'll be more. I'll be back after a short break.